to the Leeds Lens. We've got an hour and a half, or 2 hours and a half, should I say, left of the transfer window. And I thought I'd just jump on and do a stream because obviously Harry Wilson, that is the news at the moment. He looks like he is really close to joining Leeds United. So get your comments in. We're going to sit here for probably half an hour to an hour talking about Leeds United right now. And sort of where Leeds United are at and how close this Harry Wilson deal is. So if you keep seeing me looking over to the left-hand side, it's because I'm checking Twitter to see if there's any more updates, obviously, on the Harry Wilson situation. But yeah, it's a tricky one for Leeds United right now. I think we are scrambling. I think that's quite sort of completely clear that is the case with Leeds United right now. I don't think this was in Parag's script, let's say, when he decided that he was going to buy the club, and obviously coming into this summer. They said they'd planned for months. I'm getting a sort of feeling they aren't even planned for days at the moment with all this scrambling. But yes, the update is that Harry Wilson is close to Leeds United, and of course it's looking like potentially if it's going to be a permanent signing, which obviously was the only thing that made sense anyway, of course, because he has only got 1 year left in his contract. So why on earth would you loan a player who's probably got a value of nearly £20 million for a year when you're going to lose him for free next summer? That makes absolutely no sense. And truthfully, they were never going to do it. But yeah, that is the current situation, obviously, at Leeds United at the moment. In terms of Harry Wilson as a player, if people are interested, I actually genuinely quite like the addition. I think the addition is quite decent. I think the addition, it could add a lot. 6 goals last year, set-piece specialist, you name it, he can probably do it. But I want to, while we go through this, because I think we all are suffering a bit, I think we've got to go through, and you guys give your comments, and I'll sort of read them out as we go through. We have got a comment already from John, who's saying, he badges in the way. It says, it's not enough, mate. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it is enough, truthfully. And I think actually something has gone quite clearly wrong here. And I'm probably going to make a video about this later maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, maybe something like that, talking about the transfer window, because I can't quite understand how Parag and his team can talk about they're going to spend and they're going to do all these deals late, and then it doesn't happen. Something has quite clearly gone wrong on it, I think. How many do you think would have been enough? How many do you think, what would people accept now? Would people just accept Wilson now because the standards have been brought to the floor? I'm not so sure. I'm interested to know that. But yeah, for me, as I said, Harry Wilson, yes, I do like the signing. But you're right, John. It just isn't enough at all, is it? I mean, what? As I said, we just need more. When I look at the sort of makeup of the team, I think it was obvious at the weekend when we're playing that the creativity, or the lack of creativity, was just so blatantly apparent. But yeah, I mean, that is currently where we're at. But yeah, as I said, get your comments in below, and I'll just read from out, and we'll go through, and we'll sort of like study this together where we're at really with it. Leicester have turned down bids from Premier League clubs for Lewis Page. Wow. Okay, fair enough. Do you reckon this Wilson deal happens? I do think it happens. I think with the with Harry Wilson right now, the way I look at it is that, like, they have to do it. They actually have to do the deal. And as I said, apologies, I keep looking over. That's where my comments are, and that is where my Twitter page is, which has got all the rumours on it. See if I can move it over so I can look on different sides. That might be a bit better. There we are. Now I can see a bit better. That should be a bit better for you guys as well. But yeah, where do we go from here? I think we just keep going for the permanent deal, don't we? I'm surprised we even have the money for it, to be honest, because the way I've sort of read the situation today is that we are completely and utterly ransacked by PSR. I don't think we've got any money at all, which I think is why we're throwing loan deals all over the place. I think they're panicking like hell, if I'm being totally honest. You sort of look what's happened today, especially. And there's been a number of things that have happened that have surely shown to everybody that we haven't got any money. However, that isn't an excuse. And again, I'm going to talk about this. It's not an excuse to just say PSR, because other clubs have got the exact same situation, like Sunderland, and what have they done? They've sold Bellingham, they've sold Tommy Watson, they've sold a number of other players to raise money for PSR to stop this, so they can actually spend. And they've obviously spent massively then, and spent 160 million, something like now. And we're still down at 100 million and still missing key profiles, which I think Sunderland is still struggling at times, but not in the same way as Leeds United at all. But yeah, as I said, there's 11 you watching. Drop your comments below and I will go through happily and answer them. We can still do free transfers and loans, can't we? We can't do loans, but we can do free transfers. The obvious one is obviously Josh Brownhill. He's still there. I don't think he's quite the player we need, but he does offer a bit of creation in the final third. So potentially you could go there with Brownhill, of course. I still don't think it's quite right though. What do you guys think? Do you think we'd go for Brownhill after? I think potentially. I mean, as I said, depending on results. But as I said, there's just been something fundamental that's gone wrong. I'm convinced of it because Parag isn't stupid. Like, he wouldn't come out before the Everton game and say what he said and say there's going to be deals done later on and say all this if he didn't think that was going to happen. He must have had an inkling that was going to happen. And also, I'll even look at the Daniel Farke interview. Obviously this weekend, where it was, what was Daniel Farke saying this weekend, that we wanted 2 additions. If he's saying we want 2 additions, he's pretty sure at that point we're going to get it, because we know everything that these players get, or the managers get said, gets put under a microscope, and that they were going to get battered if that was the case. Let it be. Left it too late. Classic leagues. I see Wilson as a clear panic buy. No, I agree. Was Wilson first choice? Absolutely not. Definitely not, Gabriel. I completely agree with you. However, that doesn't mean he's not a good player, and not like I've argued with my dad about this already today. Just because Harry Wilson isn't our first choice doesn't mean he doesn't offer stuff. He's a brilliant set piece taker, and right now we've got Anton Stack at 6'4" taking out set pieces. As I said, he's Premier League proven, scored 9 goals. I think he got like 12 goal contributions the year before that as well. Has been proven in the Premier League for a few years now. Can play in the number 10 role, which is we know what Daniel Farke wanted. Can play on the right hand side as well. There is benefits, and there is positives around the sale of Harry Wilson, around the signing of Harry Wilson for sure. We also should get him on a decent price as well, because he's 28 years old and he's only got 1 year left on his contract. So yes, am I obsessed with Harry Wilson as signing? No. However, is it better than nothing? Yes. Would I have probably preferred Buendia, who were linked at the start of the day? Potentially. Would I have preferred a Hamer? Potentially. But they are different players. I think I'd have liked to see a Wilson and a Hamer and or a Buendia come in. And I think in a Leeds United perfect scenario, we would have seen that. I think we would have seen a proper number 10 come in, and then a sort of creative right winger in Harry Wilson. Yes to Brownhill. Marathe was at the Rangers game yesterday. I know I've seen this a lot where people are saying he's focusing too much on Rangers. And Rangers are in a bit of a mess at the moment, and that is something to bear in mind. The only thing I would say about that is that the potential of Leeds United is through the roof in comparison to Rangers. And this summer is so important for Leeds United, because Parag knows if he can keep Leeds United up this year and keep us, that means we should probably stay up next year, because you'd have another 150 million next summer, or another 100 million potentially next summer. And if we have that extra money next summer as well, we should definitely stay up over the newly promoted teams. And then you're established. For me, right now, everyone used to say he used to go down his second year. That's what everyone used to say. It's always second year. Right now, if you stay up for 1 season in the Prem, it's very easy to stay up the second season, because you get that extra money of the second season. You get Premier League money for 2 seasons then. So for me, Parag right now sees a payday for Leeds United if he can keep Leeds United at the football club, if he can keep Leeds United in the Premier League. So people saying Rangers, I completely agree with you, and that probably has been a bit of focus. But Leeds United are the cash cow for the 49ers. They bought us for what, £200 million? They're trying to sell us for probably £1 billion. We need to be a Premier League club to do that. Rangers will never be valued at £1 billion, because they're not, unless they were consistent in the Champions League, which they're not. And they're never going to be, because people don't want to play in Scotland. Whereas Leeds United we could be valued at a few £1 billion, or £1 billion at least, if they do the right things. So for Prague to say, for the focus to be on Rangers over that, seems madness to me. Risking a lack of signings, as we did in the Championship, is one thing. Trying to replicate it in the Prem is another thing altogether. See, I don't think we did risk a lack of signings in the Championship. I think the only window you could potentially point to would be January. If you're saying that, I think that potentially in January we did, but we didn't need additions in January. I never thought we did. I thought it was a waste of time. I thought if we bought in January, it would be wasting our money that we could have spent this summer. Like if you brought in a Cameron Archer for £15 million in January, I think that would have ransacked us, to be honest, again for this summer, because PSR is such an issue. So for me, I was quite happy we didn't do anything in January at the time. I didn't think that was a big deal. The 49ers also, there's this sort of, idea. Before this, I don't know the full bucket sheet this year, but we've seen the financial accounts for the last 2 years. And when the 49ers have said that they've gone as close to PSR as humanly possible in them 2 years, that has been the truth. That has been the truth. So if they're going to do that again, I'm not so sure, but it looks that way to me. Gonzalez went to Atletico Madrid. I know this needs updating on the right-hand side. That was my signing scale. Obviously, a lot of these players are off the table now. Harry Wilson's probably the only one. Buendia's off the table. Demirovic's never going to happen. Yeah, I apologise for that. But it's better than having blanks, is it? Solomon also looks like he's on his way to Palace. Yeah, I know. I still would rather Harry Wilson than Solomon. What would you guys rather, by the way? Solomon and Harry Wilson? I'm interested to know that. For me, it would still be Harry Wilson. I think in terms of a profile of what we need, he can play in the 10 role, which is nice. He's a better set piece taker. He's actually a set piece specialist, is Harry Wilson, as I said, which is a huge benefit to us of not having Anton Stack on set pieces. I've also been crying out for Leeds United to have a left-footed winger, because I think if you have a left-footed winger on the right-hand side for Leeds, then when he cuts inside, it gives Bogle so much more space on the outside, which I think is going to be massively beneficial for Leeds United. So Wilson, what people are saying in the comments. Yeah, I agree. I think Wilson's the better option. But yeah, if you've got Wilson on the right-hand side, for me, it will make Bogle is a fantastic attacking fullback, as we all know. But if you add Wilson in front of him, I think it's even better, because he cuts inside. And we saw when Nonto started cutting inside and drifting inside against Sheffield Wednesday, that it releases Bogle much more on the right-hand side, which is a game obviously he scored in. Yes, probably will go for Wilson because he can play anywhere in the attack. I think he can to an extent. I won't put him on the left-hand side, though. I don't think that's his best position at all. I think he's got to be in the 10 or on the right. Harry Wilson, what a load of... I can't say that, mate. I'm sorry. Is that you don't think it's true, or that... Because I think it is true, but or that you don't want him? Because I know people won't want Harry Wilson, and I get that. But as I said, I don't know... At this point, I don't know who else you could get. However, there is a caveat to that, as I said, that have the 49ers dampened our expectations to the point where we're all now happy with Harry Wilson. I think that's potentially a comment. Would have loved Demirovic. Yeah, I think Demirovic would have been a really nice addition. Obviously, that's never going to happen now. I don't think we've got the money, one, and two, I don't think Stuttgart will ever going to sell him now with the position they're in. Although they have brought Osula in today, so maybe. But we can't afford Demirovic, I don't think. I really think... You don't think it's true? Do you not think it's true in terms of, like, do you think it's just been... Because it's obviously being fed by tier 1 outlets now. Like, Graham Smythe said it. People have said we've bidded for him and we've gone back in. The likes of Adam... is it Adam Crook? No, Alex Crook, should I say, at TalkSport. Loads, Ben Jacobs has said it as well. Like, I think it probably is true. If we're going to get it over the line or not, I'm not so sure. What I don't think is true, to be fair, is that I do think we went in for Buendia this morning. I know Graham said this afternoon that we haven't got in for him. We have. Like, we have gone in for that. That is not true. Like, we definitely went in for Buendia. And to be honest, I know we also got... was it Adam Pope that said we didn't go in for Buendia? But I know Graham said this morning that we didn't go in for Hamer. I think we probably did. You believe it when he signs. Yeah, well, there is that, mate. But we can still be in for Harry Wilson and then the deal fall apart. Like, we were in for Buonanotte and the deal fell apart there. So that can be the case. But I know what he's saying. That we've had so many sort of near misses of Leeds United fans now that, like, I mean, Gakpo said a year ago that he didn't come to... His options were Leeds, PSV, or Southampton. And he didn't come to Leeds because he ended up scoring one more goal, and that meant that he stayed at PSV. Like, I mean, we've missed out players on the most ridiculous ways ever. So, yeah, you're probably right in terms of we're better waiting. But I do think... the reason I think we'll do Wilson, and I've thought this for a while before I came on stream, is that we have to do Wilson. Like, we have to do it because the fan base, as you all are in the comments, is going to go into absolute meltdown if we don't get something over the line. Talk of Wilson move not going ahead now. Oh, no. Let me have a look on Twitter. Can you tell me who said that on Twitter? Because I'm just refreshing my page now. See, The Athletic have said a minute ago, Leeds United are in talks with Fulham over a move Harry Wilson, the 28-year-old, in the final year of his contract at Craven Cottage. On Saturday, Daniel Farke reiterated his desire for reinforcements in the attack field and transfer window. Since losing out, Leeds have reassessed their options and have made a push for the Wales. I think we have. Woody's said something, has he? Right. Well, that's... He's usually right, isn't he, Woody? That would be a bit of a disaster. Talk of Wilson, yeah, not going ahead now. Leeds did not go in for Buendia. See, I think they did. I think they did go in for Buendia. I really do. It just, John, would it surprise you if they had? Like, would it surprise you? We know Farke likes him. We know Angus Kinnear said last summer that we wanted to try signing when he did his thing with the square ball that he always does. Like, would you be that surprised, really, if we had done late on? It wouldn't surprise me at all. And as I said, I think we went in for Hamer as well, and they denied that. I really don't. The people who said that we went in for Hamer, the Telegraph, so you've got Mike McGrath and John Percy both said it. These guys are seriously tier 1 outlets in the Midlands. Like, they don't get things wrong. Like, they are fed by clubs. They don't get the stuff wrong. Woody said something. I need to find this. What's he said? Does anyone know what he's actually said? Let me have a look. See if I can find it. He said the flight from Paris is interesting. That's what Woody's apparently just said. We have seen this player, haven't we? There was a report I saw. I didn't post it. I've been posting all day on the Leeds Lens Twitter account. Yeah, it's still Baron Cross is still saying Harry Wilson, but yeah, he said that there's a flight from Paris that's interesting. There's a guy called Stroinkens, something like that, who's an attacking number 10. Who we have been linked to. However, it came from such a small account on Twitter, I didn't post it. But apparently there's something. The flight from Paris is interesting. He does usually know his stuff, doesn't he? To be fair, would he? He does usually know his stuff. We are lacking a creative player, e.g. a Cam or a 10. And it annoys me that Perot sometimes plays in the 10. Yeah, that is the best comment. I completely agree. Perot can't play. Perot, to be honest with you, can't play in the Premier League because he's just not physically capable to get around the pitch. But we'll word it this: Perot for me is a luxury player. He's a player that you can use in the Championship because we dominate teams so much. We don't need to be good at possession because we have so much of the ball. In the Prem, we can't carry players, and I think when we play with Perot, we have to carry him because he's so poor physically in terms of his ability to get around the pitch. That for me, I just don't see it. I know Perot was brilliant for us in the Championship. Got 19 goals last year. Everybody knows that. I can't see how he adapts to the Premier League. I just can't see it. I still don't know why Largy went out on loan. He went out on loan, mate, because he wasn't going to be used. If he should have been used or not is definitely a question for Daniel Farke. But that's why he went out, and he went out because he wasn't going to be used. But Daniel Farke didn't want him. That is the reason. That is the fundamental reason. Daniel Farke didn't want him at the club. If that's a decision that should have been done or not is a question for the day. And to be honest, if Daniel Farke gets sacked, I think we obviously tried to get the buyback clause, didn't we, in it? And if Daniel, I think, yeah, as I said, if Daniel Farke gets sacked, I think that's why we obviously wanted a buyback clause. The only thing is, if you don't have a buyback clause, you can still sometimes negotiate a deal. Like we saw this with Gulu, who obviously was at Sunderland and then ended up going back to Chelsea where they arranged a deal. So we might be able to get something done for Largy to get him back. But we're on our last legs if we're just praying that Largy's going to come back and save the day, I think. Although I do really rate Largy as a player, as I've said sort of on this channel before. This ain't happening. All rests on Fulham. Signing them players, apparently one not happening. Yeah, because they're trying to buy Chukwueze, Kevin and Raheem Sterling, I think. So yeah, this has been such a disappointing end to the window. It's what happens when you try to do deals on the cheap late on. See, this is the worry in it because my feeling has all windows been that we've struggled to get players over the line this summer. We have struggled to get players over the line. There's no doubt about that. And I thought the closer it gets to the end of the window, the more chance that these players don't have anywhere else to go, so they will end up coming to Leeds. And I think we saw this last summer with the likes of Ayo Tanaka, who ended up coming to Leeds because he had nowhere else to go. Like, he wanted a top 5 move and ended up couldn't get one, so then came to Leeds on deadline day. And I thought that would happen again. But it's just a harder game in the Premier League. And also, I do think a point, and I'm going to mention this in a later video, but I do think there's a point that was it the right decision to go get Underwood? Not because I want to scapegoat Underwood, not because of any of that. My point is, when we're trying to get these big players over the line, you need someone as your DOF he's the director of football, who has got links all over the country and all over the world, who's got links all in European football, who's into agents, who's big with agents. We know this was the case with Victor Orta, even when we didn't like Victor Orta as a thing, but he had connections for players. Like we knew he was really good in the Spanish market. Underwood, because he hasn't had a big DOF job before Leeds United, doesn't have the connections built up yet with these big agents to get the players in, their players. And like these big agents are so influential in football now, and to not have a DOF that's got links to these big agents, I think has caused Leeds United a problem this whole time, really. Pro never got any interest from clubs. Top scorer and the likes of Somerville and Rutter did. The Prem, well, you're right. There's a reason that Pro hasn't had these big offers. I do think we could have moved Pro on this summer, though. I don't really buy that we couldn't have done. Like, he's just scored 19 goals in the Premier League. Someone would have taken him. I'm absolutely convinced of it. Like, I'd be shocked if someone wouldn't have took, if someone wouldn't have took Pro this summer. Would we have got the fee that we wanted? Probably not. And the other thing to mention with Pro is we obviously paid 16 million for him 2 seasons ago now. I think he's on a 5-year deal. So he'd appreciate it at what's that? 3.2 million a year. So he'll depreciate it to about £10 million. So if Leeds United sold him for £10 million this summer, we wouldn't actually bank that much of a profit on PSR. So although we'd have actually got 10 million into the club with a fee, it wouldn't have allowed us to go buy someone else. We'd have had to go and sell him for like 20 million quid to go and buy another striker. And that would have given us a bit of PSR leg room. Like if we were going to sell for PSR reasons, the only players we could have done to set through PSR would have been Pascal Strout, because we got him for £1 million, I think. Tanaka, who we know wants to sell anyway, but we could have potentially sold him for more, or Nonto, because they're the big PSR players that Leeds United have got. Sunderland did this really well. They sold Bellingham for about £30 million, and they bought him for like 3 million. So they made basically about 28 million book value based on the fact he depreciated on his contract. We don't really have players like that, so that's allowed them to spend more than we have, which is why they spent more. I believe that Nemecha and DCL. This is why I've got a wire in the way of the comments. It's really annoying. I wonder if I can move the comments so it's not in the way of a wire. There we are. I believe that Nemecha and DCL will come good for us soon. I thought they weren't that bad at the weekend, mate. Also, we shouldn't play Nonto as a right wing due to we should play Nonto as a right wing due to his collaboration with Bogle. Completely agree. I think if we don't get Wilson in, which I think is looking increasingly likely that we do not get Wilson on the right hand side, I would play Nonto on the right, because what happens with Nonto, as I said, is he comes inside and it allows Bogle to be on the outside. And I think they've got a better link up, because I think they're smarter footballers. I think they've got a better football IQ. What's this saying here? He never had the links at all. Was a massive gamble for me. Are you on about Harry Wilson? I presume you are. Yeah, I know. But if that is the case, that you're on about Harry Wilson, as I said, would you not take him now, though? Set piece specialist, 6 goals in the Premier League last season. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what other choice do we have? Like, we're so late in the window. He does fit a bit. He does fit, I think. I really think he does. Maybe one of the clubs that went down would have took Perot. Yeah, I think that's what you mean with the Perot thing. Yeah, I think maybe one of the clubs that went down maybe would have took him. Leicester ain't got any money, though, so you're talking Southampton and Ipswich, maybe. Do you know what I also read today, by the way? Ipswich have made a bigger signing than we have this summer. Crazy, innit? Crazy. But we haven't bought as many players, admittedly. Oh, no, I was on about Underwood having agent links. All right, okay. Yeah, no, yeah, all right, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's you're absolutely bang on. That is my exact issue with the Underwood appointment. I don't want to scapegoat Underwood. I'm not saying he's doing an awful job, because I think he needs to be protected a bit. But in the same breath, like, we've just got to the Premier League. We need a big DOF. Like, look at this summer. Look at Nottingham Forest. Look who they've been able to bring in. Their summer has been fantastic. I know there's a bit of clash with Nuno right now, but they've brought so many big names in. And do you know what they've also did this summer? They have Edu in charge now there. The guy that was at Arsenal, who's obviously got massive links all over Europe. We're not going to beat players against Edu. Like, Underwood isn't going to beat Edu. A guy with connections all over Europe. It isn't going to happen. So I'm not saying we could have got Edu, but could we have got somebody else who has got big connections in Europe that would have helped us get these big marquee deals over the line? I'm not saying we could have done. I'm just saying that's a mention. Like, when we talk about the Rodrigo signing, for example, we had Victor Orta in charge, and I didn't like Victor Orta. He did a lot of bad stuff at Leeds United, as we all know. But he had Spanish links, as we also know. Would we have got Rodrigo over the line with Underwood in charge? I'm not sure we would, you know. I'm really not sure we would have done. Palace could be going for Pascal now that Gueye has gone to Liverpool, and the centre half, due to the sign replacement, has now gone to Chelsea. Yeah, well, but Michael, I do agree. Like they might go in for Struijk now, but we haven't got enough time now, have we? There's no point selling Struijk. Like we need a replacement lined up, and I know we've got Biol there, but if Biol went down, then we're still knackered, aren't we? We also we've got players at the club, by the way, that just haven't sold properly as well. Like Mellier's still here. I'm not saying he's been much, but because we've had him so long, his book value is practically zero at Leeds United, which means anything we'd sell him for would be a book profit. So, like if we sold Meslier for £4 million this summer, we would actually book more on PSR than if we sold Pro for 10 million because of the depreciation on the contracts and how long we've had them. We need to keep Pro. Yeah, well, I think now we do need to keep Pro because we're not going to bring anybody else in. It's just all on Harry Wilson and potentially this flight from Paris that's got a player called God, I'm going to be awful with this name. I do apologise. Story Canes. Yeah. He's attacking number 10. As I said, I did see it on Twitter earlier today. Let's have a look. Nottingham Forest bringing another player, by the way, again, and they've had an absolute massive window, Forest. But they've had a massive window, like I said, because they've got a DOF in charge who has got massive links around Europe. Does Underwood have that? I just don't think he does, people. I really don't think he does. Meslier is going to join Lorient, his previous club in France. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's got that or Marseille, I was reading. But, I mean, I can't... Like, Marseille, really? I can't believe that. It seems mad. Who said this about the bloke from Paris, mate? It was Woody. Woody basically said he didn't. The guy's not from Paris, but there's a flight coming from Paris that he said I'd watch out for that. Oh, Miguel Delaney, who works, I believe, who does he work for? The Independent. Yeah, a journalist from the Independent called Miguel Delaney has just tweeted out saying Harry Wilson to Leeds United currently on having a few difficulties, having had a few difficulties earlier, and we also know with the Harry Wilson situation as well that plane looks like it's going to set off. We needed a number 10 for about 5 years. I can't comprehend how we still don't have one. I know. Well, I think Rutter was a fantastic number 10 for us. He was a different sort of number 10. He was a brilliant dribbler. He committed loads of fouls for players, and you've seen that with his performances at Brighton. He's an absolutely unbelievable player for us, Georgino Rutter. However, even though that is the case, we didn't buy him as a number 10, did we? We bought him as a number 9. So yeah, we haven't really replaced Pablo Hernandez, have we? Or Samuel Saiz. I mean, we've been how long have we banged on about Samuel Saiz? But yeah, we haven't bought a proper number 10. Like, Hamer would have been so good. I really think he would have been. I know I was questioning at the start in terms of, because I think there is question marks around him. I think his technical ability is through the roof. I think it's outstanding, his technical ability. But I think there was definitely question marks around what he's like off the pitch in terms of his discipline. I think when he's on the pitch, he gives it 100%. I don't think there's an attitude issue at all. I just think he can be slightly indisciplined off it, which I think potentially is why he's got the build that he has. But say that quietly. By the way, there's 49 of you watching, which is quite a lot for me. I've only been doing this a few weeks. So if you could help the channel by dropping like a like and a subscription, if you are new, that'd be fantastic. Obviously, I think there's only 14 likes on the video, so if you could do that, that'd be fantastic. Obviously, if you don't have an account or whatever, no issues. I'm more interested, to be honest, than that. Just keep you guys putting comments in because I like it. I like going through and sort of interacting with you guys. Let's see if there's any comments I missed. I don't think there is. Is there anything else going on Twitter? West Ham are in talks for Igor. I thought he was going to be going to Palace, yeah. Maybe that's why he's not doing. Let's have a look. Look at all these players, by the way, that we've been linked to over the window. Well, I've still got Hill on here. Thank God that one didn't happen. Gonzalez, we know, is off. Albine, I think. Albine. I think people liked the look of him, but, oh well. I've also seen people who've actually liked the video. Thank you very much. Yeah. Igor to Crystal Palace has collapsed. And Guehi has completed his medical to London. So basically, the Guehi deal might fall apart because their replacement, it looks like, is not has fallen apart as well, which is they were trying to sign Igor from Brighton, which would have allowed obviously to do that. Just subscribe. Tell me about Wilson's quality. I shall do. Harry Wilson, right winger, can also play in the number 10 role. Obviously, we watched him in that famous game with Bielsa against Derby in the playoffs. Ugh. He also takes penalties really well, but he's a fantastic set-piece taker, which, as I said, if you've watched Leeds United this season, which I'm sure you all have, we need a set-piece taker more than we've ever needed a set-piece taker in life, to the point where we've got a 6'4" player taking him. So this would obviously open up Stack to go into the box, which would be fantastic. And also, Wilson is better at Stack at taking set pieces. He's actually also a complete set piece specialist, is Harry Wilson. He's unbelievable from set pieces. He's also quite a clever footballer as well. Left-footed, right winger, as I said, can also play in the 10. I honestly think he'd be a really good addition. And I think had it not been for us going for him right now, where it looks like a panic, everyone would be more on board with it. The guy's from Belgium. He's flying in from Paris. It's been a guarded process by the 49ers to try and get this one over the line. The deal may have already been done pending a medical. I hope so, Michael. I do hope so. But I hope that's given you a bit of a sort of feeling of what Harry Wilson's like. Yeah, I hope that sort of helped you out there. But yeah, I think he'd be a good option, but people, I really do. Like, what are we going to do now that's going to be better than him? If your option right now is bringing on Brendan Aronson on the right, or starting Harry Wilson, bringing on Nonto on the right, which one are you picking? How much you're paying for Wilson? I'm not so sure on that yet. I think that's going to come out in the flesh. I think we don't have any money. So I think what's going to happen here is it's going to be a loan with an obligation somehow. And I don't quite know how that's going to be structured, because the issue with doing a loan to obligation is we haven't got any. He's going to get 1 year after his contract, so be out of contract next summer. So I don't quite know how a loan to obligation works. But, these are smart people. I'm sure they can work something out. But I know Leeds are absolutely hamstrung for cash. We're absolutely. I'm convinced we're knackered for cash. But even if you look at how much we've got to spend based on what's happened this summer, I think it's quite obvious that we're going to have no money, because we haven't really made any sales of any value. Like, why we didn't get a permanent for Schmidt, I'll never know. Like, that had to be a permanent. But I think it wasn't a permanent because we would have banked a loss this summer on him, or we wouldn't even bank to profit. Whereas next summer it'll be a year left down in his book value, because obviously he depreciates each year that he's at the club. So you get more money. So that's why I think that's why we did it. But yeah, bit of a mare. Didn't a loan for Wilson get rejected? It did, Ollie. It did. But we are now going in for a permanent. But I don't see how we can do a permanent. So I think they're going to have to do some workarounds. I don't know how they're going to do it. Now, my hope is that maybe we sell Melier and we can put some of that money towards it. But yeah, it did get rejected. I think Alex Crook came out within about an hour, not even that, half an hour of it coming on, saying that it got rejected. Igor was all set as Guehi replacement, but was already signed for Liverpool, and West Ham aggressively got him under the noses of Crystal Palace. Yeah, I know that's going to be a weird one how that progresses, because with the way Glasner was going on last night, if you all saw it, I don't see a world where they'd let him go without getting a replacement in. And if Igor was the replacement, I think Palace potentially pull out of that Guehi move, I really think they do. Or they throw a fortune at Pascal Struijk and it allows us to buy 6 players now. Could happen. No, I'm joking. Oh, dear. What? By the way, what I'm interested to know is what do you all rate the window so far this year? Like, at the start of the window, I think we're all going, yeah, what a window. This is looking brilliant. And the last sort of, like, part has just been horrendous, hasn't it? Like, I don't know. Where do you guys rate this window? Do you think it's been a good one, or do you think it could have been much better? I mean, it obviously could have been much better. That goes without saying. But could we have got some more money? Could we have brought a few more? I think I said this on a video a few weeks ago, or about a week ago maybe. The worst thing about this window, in my opinion, is been the sales. Because I think if we'd have made better sales this summer and sold people like Perot and potentially sold a Nonto or a Struijk and raised a bit of money for PSR, we could have spent more. I think we could have spent more. And I think that's been the main issue. A lot of 5 out of 10s. I think that's the consensus. I think that's probably where I'm at, guys. I think it really is. Yeah, probably like a 5 out of 10. A window's a 5 out of 10. Yeah. Crap window. Yeah, no, I do agree. I don't think it's been the greatest window in the world. Do you know what it is? I'm gonna be happy tomorrow almost when the transfer window's over, because I think it's sucking the fun out of the Premier League for us. Like we've started the season quite well, people. Like we really have. Like we started the season well. We've got 4 points in our first three. We've played 2 Champions League side. We've kept 2 clean sheets. We're doing well in the Premier League. But all we talk about all the time is transfers, 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 and rightly so, because it's massively important we get the signings in. But it is sucking the fun out of it a bit. Do you not think? Do you not think when we get the result of the weekend, everyone's saying, but we need attacking players, we need attacking players, rather than just accepting a really decent result against Newcastle? It is sucking the fun out of it for me. So I'm not going to be too displeased when hopefully we can get one more in, get Wilson in, and let's fight this season properly, because I think that's what we're going to have to do. What window? I would have liked Wilson and Hamer going forward, who can create chances for our forwards. No goals from open play. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it, people? Like, if Parag, I don't think they are, but if Parag, Underwood, is it Evans, Robbie Evans, if they're watching us at the weekend and not thinking we need attacking bodies, I mean, I don't know what game they're watching. I mean, I'm convinced that they are. They've also got the manager who they obviously really trust in Daniel Farke, telling them that they need attacking bodies. So they obviously do. Like, it's just obvious. I was hoping we'd get players in like Bakwa or Uche and sold a couple and have a positive and you were positive until today. Barring a late surprise, it's been poor. Just missing some decent attackers, says BMG. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. We haven't, have we? We haven't made a statement signing. I know people are going to say, potentially you could say Stackies. I think potentially you could say Biolis. But when we got promoted, let's be honest, we thought we were going to make a signing 30 million plus, didn't we? And we thought we were going to have a big money signing, like a Rodrigo last time. I know Rodrigo didn't fully work, in my opinion, but like a Rodrigo or like a Rafinha, and we just haven't done it. Like, if you're comparing the window last time we got promoted, we brought Rafinha in on deadline day. This year we're bringing in Harry Wilson, with the greatest respect. Sunderland have spent in excess of 160 million with the help of selling Bellingham for just 32 million. They have, but they've banked a huge profit on Bellingham. That's why they bought Bellingham for about £4 million. He's obviously lost value because he's been on his contract for so long. He's been there for 2 years, I think. So he's actually probably book value at 2 million, and they sell for 32. So they actually book 30 million straight on the books. But not just that, and this is something that people haven't mentioned. Last season with Leeds United, we were getting an extra revenue of 35 million more from parachute payments last season. Sunderland weren't getting that 35 million from parachute payments last season because they weren't a relegated team like we were, a second-year relegated team. So we've been in our current structure, we've been holding a minus 35 loss that's been coveted by parachute payments. Sunderland haven't got that position. So this summer, when we get into the new season, when we don't have them parachute payments, an extra 35 million on Sunderland, they've now got almost an extra 35 million gap on us because they didn't have that money last season. So not only have they sold Bellingham and sold better than us, and not only sold Tommy Watson, but they've also got the extra 35 million to make it level with Leeds United because they didn't have that extra 35 million that we had last year from parachute payments. I hope that makes sense. And if people are not getting that, leave comments and I'll try to explain it in a bit of a better way. But that is something really important to bear in mind. It really is. Sell Pascal. Yeah, well, I think that might have been the play. Pascal was our best defender against Newcastle. I think that's potentially true. And I don't want to sell Pascal because he's not a good player. But we need to sell him for PSR. That's my feeling. I thought we needed to sell him for PSR. It's not that he's a bad footballer. Pascal is a good footballer. He's our best defender playing out from the back by a long way. That's why Biel's played him in all the midfield, because he's good on the ball. The problem is we need to sell for PSR. That's what it is. Like, did Villa want to sell Jacob Ramsey this summer for 40 million to Newcastle? Of course he didn't. He's a brilliant player. But they had to sell him for PSR, and we should have done the same thing. That's just my feeling. The signing was Paxao. Yeah, you're right, Gabe. I think if you would have signed Paxao, that would have been the statement signing. And I think we signed Mooney's potentially the same. Show the comments on the screen when read them out, please. I can't, mate. I don't have that feature. I'm going to work on it though. Next stream, you'll be there. Don't you worry. Michael says Leeds' top targets won't come to a newly promoted team who have yet to establish themselves in the Premier League. Once another established club comes in for them, playing in Europe, Leeds lose out. Exactly. However, there has been situations where Sunderland have done deals where European clubs have been in for them. So to an extent, yes. But again, is that something that Underwood's not doing a good enough job at selling the project to them? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm not bothered about a statement signing as long as we get a couple of attacking players in. We're probably 2 signings off a good window as it stands. We are very light in an important area. Yep, I agree with that. We need attackers. We need creative attackers. And I've said on a few videos for a good while now, we need attackers, but more important than we need attackers, we need players who are going to create. People have said striker, Scott. And I've always said, we don't just need a striker. We need creators for the striker. I even look at Arsenal the other day when they were playing, and Jamie Carragher made a great point. Everybody said at Arsenal, the way they fix it is they bring in Gyökeres, they bring in a striker, and all will go rosy. And it isn't rosy because they still don't have creative players. And it's the same with Leeds United. We've got DCL and Nemecha who are going to do a good job for me in the Premier League this season. We haven't got creators. That is our biggest issue. The only issue with DCL and Nemecha, of course, is they get injured. But there is something there. It really is. Sell Melier. Well, I hope that's going to happen, Ollie. I do hope that's going to happen. Agents are advising their clients against clubs like Leeds until they become established like Nottingham Forest, who are attracting top talent. Yes, that is true. That is definitely true. We can't compete with Forest because if you look at the El Canouse situation this summer, El Canouse signed for Leicester and now he finds himself in the Championship. And by the way, the last 6 clubs who've been promoted, who've all been relegated, haven't helped Leeds United because it shows a blueprint that newly promoted clubs get relegated. And I don't think that's helped us in attracting good talent. Although I still think Sunderland have attracted quite good talent. And I think we have at times. I think Stack's a good signing. I think Biel's a good signing. But if you bring in good signs, you don't go down, do you? So that you've got to say that. Focus on your Carabao Cup run. Well, I think that's a good idea. It's not like we got knocked out by Sheffield Wednesday. I do think that we are being harsh. We've signed Longstaff, Stack, Goodmanson, a keeper who looks all right. Still time for Okafor and DCL to come good. Yeah, I agree. I think in the light of day, after this transfer window's over, I think people will look back and think it's not been that bad as we now think it is. I think that's true. But I still think we're missing attacking bodies. I really think we're missing attacking bodies. And I'm not going to think after the window shuts that we're definitely going to get relegated because there's no point, even if I think that deep down, because there's just no point. But we do miss attacking players, mate. We honestly do. We really do. The other thing that I've thought is if we're so stuck on PSR, if we're that stuck on PSR, which I think we are, did we need to buy like Longstaff and Stack? Did we need to do that? I don't know if we did, because if we're that short of cash, you've got to prioritise. And what's more important, a starting winger or one of them to be a backup holding midfield or a midfield player? And it's the same with James Justin. Was he more important than buying, I don't know, was he more important than buying a right winger? Could we have got someone on loan that's going to fill in as a backup and not spent £11 million there and put that £11 million towards a Harry Wilson on the right? Would that have been more important? Is Wilson a creator? Yes, he is, for sure. I don't understand why Ramazani was loaned out. I've had that comment a few times. And truthfully, I'm not sure either. My only thing I can give to you is that he didn't play him in the Championship, so he ain't going to play him in the Premier League. However, if Farke was to lose his position, which I hope doesn't happen because that usually means that Leeds United are doing poorly. But if Farke lost his position, Ramazani would then be a good option because I think other managers would like Ramazani, is my feeling, because I don't think he's a bad footballer. I really don't. And I think there's a reason Carlos Corberán wants him at Valencia, who we all know is a really good coach. The shame is that when we finished 9th, we're streets ahead of many teams like Villa, Brentford, Fulham, Forest, and even Newcastle. Bad time to collapse and go down. That is so true. It's unbelievable. I don't think the board at that moment, Angus Kinnears and Radrazani's, and Orta realised how privileged we were in that position. We've just finished 9th. We've got a brilliant manager in charge. That is where you go and you get your top signings. That is where you go and you get your top additions, like Forest have done this summer. You have a window like Forest have had. And if you get a window like Forest had, you're never going to go down because you've stockpiled so much talent. So that was, we had to kick on there. And we're going to struggle like hell to get in a situation like that now. It's going to take years on years to get back to that 9th position. Because we aren't finishing 9th this year. Like, if we stay up, we're going to finish 17th, if we're being totally honest. And I think Farke knows that, and I think everybody else knows that. Hence why we're playing for points at home to Newcastle. Not that it's a bad point, but the way we played and we were that happy with a point, we're going for 40 points, which is what we should be doing, by the way. But we're not going to finish 9th. We're not going down. We're not going down. And if Farke keeps... in from, I can't fully read that. We're not going down, and he's basically saying he'd be gone if he uses that as, and there's no excuse. Okay. See, I disagree. I think there is an excuse. You know, like, that front line's not good enough. Like, it really ain't good enough. I'm trying not to be too negative, but do we think that the front line's good enough? Because I honestly don't think we do. Replacing Bielsa with Marsh was a horrible move. Well, Ollie, at the time, I mean, one day I might show this. There is a message I sent in the group chat to my family when we sacked Bielsa, basically saying we have just basically committed. Like, that is just the worst thing we could have possibly done at that moment. Why we sacked Bielsa, I will never know. I know people wanted to do it at the time, and I know a lot of people didn't want to do it. I was one of them. I was so against it. It was unbelievable. We weren't even in the relegation zone when we sacked him. And I know we were getting thumped, but we're getting thumped now anyway. And we were getting thumped after that. I mean, we had Jesse Marsh later that season when we lost 4-0 at home to Man City, pumping the crowd. I mean, blooming heck. We were all saying we needed cover for right back and go sign Justin. We did. I think they thought that one of the targets will come in and they've just had the rug pulled over underneath them. Yeah, I think you're right, Ruben. I do think you're right. I think we thought we were going to do Buonanotte, didn't we? I think that's obvious. And I think everyone thought we were going to get Buonanotte. And if we had, that would have made a massive difference. So I get what you're saying. But what's more the priority now? It's like, if you could now swap and have that 11 million to put towards Harry Wilson and get rid of Justin, would you do it? Because you might be able to get a loan at left back. I don't think that's too unreasonable. I probably would do that swap. I probably would have done that swap. And I actually really like Justin. I think he's a really good signing for us. I don't think it's bad at all. I just think that if you are so strapped for cash, rather than a backup left back / right back, I would have rather bought a starting winger. That's all I'm saying. I know what you're saying though. I do know what you're saying. I don't think Justin's a bad signing. I just think potentially if you shut out cash, maybe a bit something. Newcastle was a missed opportunity for 3 points. They were weakened and in a bit of turmoil. Agree. Agree. I do agree. If we get Buonanotte, I would have felt a whole lot better. I would. I was so excited for Buonanotte. I was so excited, you know. I thought he was the player, like, of all the signs we've been linked to, he was the one that I was so excited for. He's such a good player, Buonanotte. He's such a good player. He'd have made such a difference to this Leeds team. He honestly would have done. Are we expecting anything before the deadline, Scott? Seems like they've gone a bit quiet in terms of names. It's Harry Wilson or bust, mate. I think it's Harry Wilson or bust. Let's have a look, see if there's anything going on. Oh, apparently Harry Wilson was wanted by Farke at Norwich. So there you are. He's been linked for a while. Don't dry your hair too hard or it's all gone. Mate, my hairline's going anyway. Let's keep that one on the quiet, eh? I'll tell you what I might need. I don't know if people have seen it. You can buy this like these hair spray thing that like makes it look like you've got more hair than you have. I probably need to go get one of them. I think might have to start doing that. But you're right, Mick. It's going wrong, mate. I think you get it from your granddad, I think, and my granddad's bald, so, you know. In hindsight, Marsh was incredibly lucky to keep us up, and lucky again that the wins versus Liverpool and Bournemouth kept him in a job. Yep, completely agree. We should never have appointed Marsh. It was the complete wrong appointment. He wasn't like Bielsa in any way, shape, or form as well, which we were told at the time. We then won back-to-back games, obviously beating Liverpool at Anfield, and then I think we were 3-1 down at home to Bournemouth, weren't we? And won 4-3. It's not realistic. The board should have known. And we didn't win for 2 months after that. And then by that point, none of the big managers want to come because it was too late. The only reason we went down last time was poor ownership. I'm telling you, we're not going down and we won't finish 17th. We don't all think the same. I'm not saying we do. I'm not saying we do all think the same. I just think that I think the fan base as a whole, like I think if we did a poll, I think a lot of people would say we're not going to finish 16 or above. Like, I think that would be, I think I can say that statement. I think that's true. However, you can have your difference of opinion. I think the problem we've got is with this is that we finished ninth last time. I think some of our fans think it's going to be easy this time, and I just don't think it is, because I think the standard of the Premier League has just gone up leaps and bounds. Like, it's so much better now because everyone spends so much money, and like the Brentfords and the Fulhams of the world, these are such better teams than the teams that are around were at that point when we went up. Chelsea stockpiling players like Buonanotte, who hardly get game time. Was all set for Leeds until came dangling a carrot, until Chelsea came dangling a carrot. Yep, completely agree. Why Buonanotte has decided to go there, I'll never know. I cannot understand why he decided to do that. That it was just a terrible idea on all fronts from Buonanotte. Like, he isn't going to play. And it's more mad because he's on loan. Like, it's not even an option to buy or an obligation. Like, he's just on loan. The whole point of a loan deal is you leave your club you're at to go get game time. And to go from Brighton to Chelsea, the most weird. I know none of us wanted him to go there because we all wanted him to come to Leeds and potentially biased in the matter. But I've even seen Chelsea fans saying, "Why did we sign him?" Like, I cannot understand it for the life of me. And it would have been such a good signing. So annoying. So annoying. Not our fault. He chose to sit on Chelsea's bench all season. We got that done, I think. And the fan base says it was a great window. It's fine margins at the top. Yeah. To an extent. With Buonanotte, you are right. Like, we booked a plane for him to get on, and then as he's getting on the plane, Chelsea ring him and say, "Do you want to come?" And he's gone to Chelsea. I know what you mean, but I don't know what we're meant to do about that. And I did say that on the video the day after. It's so annoying, but I don't know. We can't compete with Chelsea. But it's a shame that Buonanotte thinks it's a better idea to sit on their bench than come and start for us. I think that's a disappointment. But there's not we can do. Like, at that point, if he picks them, what can we do? It's a shame as well that Brighton let him go there, because he's not going to play, is he? Like, he just isn't going to play. I'm quietly confident on DCL. Will start scoring, so am I, for sure. He's been in all the right places. I like Okafor. He plays some great crosses, crossfield balls, which is a new variation of our play. Need Ampadu back in. Agree with all that. I know people battered DCL after the sort of slight horror show against Sheffield Wednesday. I was slightly encouraged. I was slightly encouraged, and I said that on a video. I saw a lot in the DCL performance, and his movement is outstanding. Like, his movement's the best I've seen in a league striker for years. It's so good. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's something in DCL. I think it'll be a good signing for us. I think he'll score goals. I just hope he doesn't get injured. Mate, I won't blame Farke if he resigned. He won't resign. There's absolutely no way. He won't get a better gig, I'm afraid, than this. There's absolutely no chance he resigns. The gap from the Prem to the Championship has increased exponentially in the last 5 years. Completely agree with that. And no offence, but I bet our players agree with me. I hope they do. I hope they do agree with you, because if they didn't, I'd be a bit worried. Yeah, as I said, can I put a poll in? I might put a poll in, see what people think. Start a poll. What should we say? No, I'll leave it. I don't want to say that I'm right. There's no point. Mainu would have never played for Leeds United because he's a United lad. As someone said, Mainu. Yeah, I'd love Mainu, but we don't have the pull. Yeah, Mainu would have never come to Leeds, mate. I'm afraid. I think if Mainu was on offer for loan, like he'd have gone to Newcastle or someone like that, I don't think he'd have ever dropped to. And Jack's right. He wouldn't have ended up coming to Leeds anyway, because he's a United boy through and through. Is it true about Harry Wilson? Martin Parkinson says, yeah, I think so, mate. I think it is. It's just a waiting game now. It'll be a deal sheet job. It'll go on and on and on. It will be a deal sheet job. If Harry Wilson joins and including the new signings, what is your best 11 and the weak link? Ooh, the best 11. Okay, I can do that. Perry in goal, Bogle, Rodon, who is the best centre-half at the club, by the way, in my opinion. Rodon, Biol, Goodmanson. Let me think of the best midfield. The midfield's difficult. Ampadu, I think, plays in the midfield 3. Stack, Tanaka, Wilson, DCL, Okafor. I think that's it. Yeah. And the weak link, it'd still be the creativity for me. Ooh, should I say that? Should I say it? I'll say it. I was slightly. I'm not for jumping on new signings. By the way, I hate people that jump on new signings. I thought Stack, in terms of his creation, could have been better against Newcastle. I thought it was outstanding off the ball. I thought he missed a few really big passes when we were going forward. When he won the ball high, he missed a few key passes, and I was quite disappointed with him. I thought he was better than that, and I think he will be over the season. I was disappointed, but I think we lack creation in the midfield, especially without Tanaka. I think Tanaka's technically our best midfield player in terms of like an IQ level, and I also think he's the one in our midfield with the most composure. He's so composed on the ball, Tanaka. He's so composed. I remember a goal we scored. Was it Middlesbrough last year at home? We won 3-1, and the ball goes through in the last minute, and Tanaka takes it around the keeper in like a huge moment for Leeds United, and the composure to do that was off the scale. The guy's so good. He's an unbelievable player, Tanaka. He'd honestly start for quite a few midfields in the Prem, I'm sure. All Brighton wanted was to keep Buonanotte in England for a year, so Buonanotte becomes homegrown. They don't really care if he plays. I think there's something in that. But surely they'd rather him play. I just think they'd rather do what he wants to do. Like, I think if he wants to go there, he'd rather go there. I've said this many times. We should have got a striker in the first part of the window. We shouldn't be in this position. I don't think we're going for a striker, mate, though. I think we've done all right with strikers. I think we've got two players that look pretty decent to me. I don't mind Nemecha and I don't mind DCL. I think they're decent. I think we've done all right there. We just need suppliers. And I said, I'll go back to Arsenal. Everyone said Arsenal just need a number 9. They don't just need a number 9. Carragher was right on Sky when he said it at the weekend. They don't just need number 9. They need more creative players. And I think we're the same, I really think we are. Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. BMG said that our weak link is the injuries. I think there's something in that. The only thing I would say is, and Farke mentioned this, and he's right, we do have a problem we've bought a lot of players that are injury prone. That is true. It's not wrong. However, Solomon was injury prone. So was Firpo. And this new medical staff, since our old medical team moved on, that I think Daniel Farke was sort of in tune with bringing in, they've done a pretty good job, keeping players fit. They have done a pretty good job. Would have made sense to try and sell Strauch and Pro, in my opinion. You have to make smart sales now. Feel that's what tied Leeds' hands. Yeah, I think that's right. I think we should have sold players. There's loads of players we should have sold, I think. Not that we should have sold loads, but there's loads of different options. Harry Wilson is apparently now off. Let me have a look. Oh no. No. That will be bad. Oh God. I can't see it, mate. Where are you seeing that? Wilson. Who's saying it's off? If they get injured, we are done, mate. Yeah, John, you're right. Tanaka is sometimes a bit too composed. He'll have to learn to be a bit quicker. Yeah, I think that's slightly harsh. I think Tanaka's, as I said, on the ball, Tanaka's our best midfield player for me, comfortably. Are we still within a chance of getting Gus? I knew Gus was over this morning or was it this morning or this afternoon? Joe Blackburn said it on X. Right, let me have a look. He's another content creator, isn't he, Joe Blackburn? Let's have a look. Harry Wilson's plane now fully cancelled. Off on all boards, and the plane is going back to Gloucester. Its home base. Could become by car. Damn. If he was on that plane, which I think it's been pointed to by a lot of people, that plane's no longer coming. Damn. That's a blow. Oh, God. This is tricky because I don't normally do live content, and now I've got to react to this and give you guys my take, which is tricky. That's a blow. That's a massive blow, that. If he's not coming, he would have been. As I said, I know it's late on, but that would have been perfect. Deal is off. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling from a lot of people. Oh no. still haven't seen any journalists saying it. I've just seen that. It's so frustrating leaving it late, Gabe said. Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating. Because... Oh... I haven't seen a big journalist say it. All we've seen is the plane's been cancelled. He might not be on that plane. It might have... I don't know. I think we're in trouble here. I think we might be in trouble. Do I change the title already to Wilson's not to Leeds? Oh, he'd have been a good addition, you know. I know he would. I hope. Not heard anything on Sky about Wilson. Yeah, Michael, there has been big reports saying it, though, to be fair. A lot of big reports saying it. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, you're right, Gabe. We will have to wait and see. Too many targets not landed this window. My overall feeling is underwhelming now. Yeah, I think you're right. We needed attacking bodies, didn't we? We needed attacking bodies big time, and it's just not happened. I'd be so good, you know, if I missed out on Wilson. I know people are going to say it's last minute and it's panic and all this crap. I get that, and you're probably right. But I think he'd have been a really nice profile for us on that right-hand side, you know. I think he really would have been a nice profile. I'd be quite disappointed if that falls through. I really would be. Because, as I said, he can play in the number 10. He can play on the right. We are being laughed at. We are going back down, unfortunately. Nice job. You're probably not wrong, mate. You might not be wrong. Oh, dear. Understand. Hamer would have been easier as he's based in Yorkshire. Yeah, do you know, I was going to mention this with Hamer, and I got distracted by the Wilson stuff. They will not go for Hamer now because we've already put out a post. Graham has already been... This morning, what happened is, I think the Hamer deal fell through this morning, is my feeling. And I think what then happened is that the club briefed certain journalists, Adam Pope, Graham Smythe, etc., saying that Leeds United were never in for him. We did the same with Buendia today as well. I think that's what happened. And I think the fact that they've already briefed Graham Smythe saying that we're not going to go there suggests that we're never going to go there now. I think it's too late, I think. I don't think they'd put out this morning saying that he's not a target and then sign him because it made them look more incompetent. Leeds in shock late talks for Harry Wilson as private jet arrives in Leeds Bradford Airport. I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. Hamer would have been, yeah, I've said that one. What's the latest on Strorikens? I don't know. All we know is that Woody said that there's a plane to look out for coming in from Paris. No chance for late one. It would be a panic, but better now than nothing. Yeah, true. Yeah, I agree. I'm at the point where I sort of feel like it's a bit sort of now or never for us now. I think we've got to get something in because I don't think we're going to score enough goals at the moment with the creativity that we've got in the team. I just don't think we would have done. Leeds United have a permanent offer on the table for Fulham winger Harry Wilson, but the Cottagers would need to bring in a replacement according to journalist Peter. Let me have a look. Peter. Let's have a look. 24k works for Times. I don't see that, mate. In truth, I might be blind, but I ain't seen that. And people who wanted Farke sacked must be out of their mind. To an extent, but I think Farke has had problems with what he's done, to be fair. I don't think he's managed everything perfectly, although he has the window. This is not a fair window for him, is it? If we're being honest, it's not a fair window. Based on your best 11, Leeds have spent 27 million on 3 bench players that could have gone on Hamer and John Arias. Which would you rather? This was exactly my point earlier, Mark. I completely agree with you. I completely agree. If we were so struck for cash that we can't afford to buy Harry Wilson on the right wing, and we can't even afford, apparently, an extra few million loan fee for Gustavo Hamer, which is the report, by the way. If that is the case, and with that strapped for cash, was it a good idea to buy bench players in the midfield and a bench left-back? Could you have got loans there instead? Rumour has rumour has Ellen Road have confirmed no further purchases due to Leeds City Council refusing any further. Nice. Hi mate, just subscribe. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Gavin. That's very kind. Leeds got Jane Nansby at the last minute from Bournemouth, so anything can happen until the window closes. That is true, but there was part of that was the fact that they ended up we obviously ended up losing Sinistera, didn't we? So Bournemouth were trying to push it through. They had a sort of dog in the fight as well, as they were trying to push him through. I know what you're saying, though. I do know what you're saying. Do you think we stay up? Gavin says, do you think we'll stay up with what we've got? Hope we do. All Leeds, aren't we? I hope we do. I agree. I hope we do. My issue, honestly, is I'll tell you where I'm at with Leeds now. I'll tell you where I'm at. I think right now we're going to be really competitive in games. I think we're going to be really competitive in games. We've seen that with Newcastle. Not much Arsenal, but I think we had a bit of a collapse there and we're set up wrong. We've seen that with Newcastle. We've seen that with Everton. I think we'll be really, really competitive in games. And I think we'll get a lot of 0-0s. And I think, as I said, we'll keep ourselves in a lot of games. I don't think we're going to get smashed by anybody. I agree with all that. I don't think that's been the case. My issue is that I don't think... Do you know when we play, for example, Burnley at home? We'll use them as an example. If I'm looking at the Burnley game right now, I don't know if we've got enough creation to even break them down. And not just them, but I'm talking about when we play Fulham at home. We probably need to win that game. I'm talking about when we play, let's have a think, Wolves at home. Do we have enough creativity to win a game? We have enough defence to hold up at potentially 0-0, but when we need to win games, do we have enough going forward? That is my worry. That is my whole worry. And my worry is that what will happen is, eventually, something will happen in the game. Like at the weekend, for example, with Leeds, we got a 0-0 against Newcastle, which was a good result. But they could have scored a set piece. It could have been an individual error. Anything could have happened. A worldie could have happened, and then you end up losing the game and you get no points. That's my worry. And my worry is, I think against the bigger teams at home, like even when we play Spurs in a few weeks at home, I think we can get a point there. And I don't think they're going to be the issues. Picking up the points against the bigger teams, I don't think it's going to be the issues, because I think we've got a defence that will keep teams out. My issue is, and this is my fundamental issue, is when we're going to beat a team, I just don't think we're going to have enough creation to go and beat a team. That's my fundamental problem. That's my feeling. So I think if we didn't... With Wilson, I think changes a bit. I think without Wilson, I just don't think we're going to score enough goals. And it's not, I don't even think it's the number 9's fault, which is everyone will point. So I think it's been a lack of creation. Wilson talks are ongoing, but the flight has been put back. You see, that was the case, but I think there's reports now that flight's been cancelled. Let's see if Joe Blackburn's put anything else out. Let's see if he's put what else out. Paul says, bro, we are not getting anyone in. I just knew it. Yeah, you might be right. Gavin said, top 6 will all lose to, but the rest of the league, I think, will do okay, as we're hard to beat at home and we'll work hard. You see, this is why I agree with that, Gavin. I'm worried that we're not going to win enough games, because I don't think we're going to score enough goals. And like at the moment, if we go 1-0 down in a game, that game's over, because I can't see us scoring 2. We're struggling enough to score 1. We may be competitive, but if we can't score, we don't stay up. That's sort of my feeling, John. That's sort of my feeling. We can stay up because we can grind out 1-0s. That can happen. And I think Everton have stayed up before with a blueprint of keep staying in games and winning it 1-0 from a set piece, which I think is potentially something we can do. The only thing is, if we are going to do that, have we got the right manager in? Like, if we're going to park the bus all game and hit long balls and hit it into the channels, are we better getting a specialist at doing that, which Daniel Farke isn't? I don't know. I'm not saying we should, but I think that's a question mark. 49ers have too many irons on the fire. I absolutely hate the link with Rangers. That's what Robin Hood has said. I hope not the real Robin Hood. Yeah, people have asked me about the Rangers thing today a bit. My feeling with Rangers is it's a secondary priority. I think it genuinely is for the 49ers, because if they get the Rangers going, they will never be as valuable as Leeds United if they get going, because Leeds play in the Premier League. If they can get Leeds stable in the Premier League, we're a £1 billion company. That is what Leeds United are. They bought it for 200 million. They see it. This is the 49ers plan. Buy it for 200 million, put 500 million, get a 700 million spend, and then sell the club for $1 billion and make 300 million. That's why they've got investors. That is their plan. You can't do that with Rangers. I'm unsure why they bought Rangers, actually. But the priority's got to be Leeds United because we're the cash cow. We're the one that they can sell for the massive, massive bucks. And yes, Rangers are a massive club, but they don't play in the Premier League. So that is something to bear in mind. How good is Wilson? Marquee signing, question mark. Not a marquee signing for me. Some people might have him. Not a marquee signing for me, but not a bad signing. Not a bad signing. I think if we ended the window with just Wilson, which if anything, he's going to be the only one, I think. I don't think we'll have made what I would deem a marquee signing personally. I don't think we will do. Yeah. And that's why we need more players up front. That's exactly right, John. That we've been disagreeing a bit, John. Me and back. It's not been all pleasant. However, well, pleasant it has been. We're not going over the board here, but I think we've come to a bit of a standing there where we both agree. Good point about the 49ers and Rangers. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Try my best. Leave Farke out of this. We nearly got it, John, and we've not gone back. Yeah. As I said, he set us up well. He set us up outstandingly against, first of all, with Daniel Farke, where I'm at with it. He set us up well, yeah. It was poor in the first year. We should have got promoted that year. However, we got as close to promotion without getting us promoted as soon as possible. 90 points, losing the playoff final. We did all right. Then, obviously, last season was fantastic. 100 points, top scorers in the league, brilliant. Defence was fantastic, everything was fantastic. Should have dropped Melly earlier, but besides that, brilliant. This year, in my opinion, Everton got it bang on. The way we pressed was outstanding. That was as good a press as I've seen from Leeds United since the Bielsa days. It was brilliant. And it was also really controlled. We knew when to press, all that. He did well against the Everton game, really well. Arsenal, I think he got it wrong. In my opinion, I think he got it wrong. I thought we did a number of sort of things that were wrong in that game. I don't want to talk about loads because I think we're going back in time. So I think he got wrong in that game. And the game against Newcastle, I think he got right. So yeah, I'm not saying Farke should be sacked at all. And that's not what I'm saying. Joe says Uche sounded like he would have suited us. And Getafe need to sell. Seems stupid to have not gone all in for him. Yeah. 49ers told us that they... Yeah, Uche, I think I liked Uche. I said on a few times I thought it would have been a good signing. But again, 49ers told us lies. They said they were going to spend every penny. They got 50 million left yet. So what's going on, liars? Is there a situation, which is what I think the situation is, by the way, where we've spent every penny? Do people not think that? I think, as I said, I think we're done on it. I think we're done on FFP. I really think we are. I think if the 49ers could spend 50 more million, they would have done it. Because it's for them, if we go down, it's catastrophic. It's worth it, in my opinion, on their behalf, to spend the next month the money this summer to be able to then stay in the division. I think it's worth it to do that. Because if they're trying to sell us for a profit, it's not worth it for them to get relegated and take the risk. I think they would. As I said, my opinion is that the 49ers, if the money was there on a PSR standpoint, they would have done it. I don't think there's 50 million there. I think if we did that, we'd be breaking PSR things. That's my opinion. I think we'd be breaking PSR. But I've always said this. We should have done sales. We should have made sales to allow us to spend more money, which is what Sunderland have done. That is what we should have done. That is why we're ransacked with PSR and we haven't spent 160 million like Sunderland, because they've made sales and we haven't. What's happening now is Leeds fans just want anyone. That's how the 49ers have got us. We'll probably scrape the barrel and get a nobody. I did say that earlier in the stream, Will. I do agree, Wilf. I do agree with you. I really do. I think that if the later gets in the window, they're scrapping, we're scrapping, and our expectations and what we would be happy with go down and down and down and down. Would you take Raheem Sterling on loan at this point? Yeah. Let's play into the Wilf narrative. Yeah. Let's have him. Sunderland got it spot on with Birmingham. They did, and they also sold Tommy Watson and another guy called Ekdal, something like that. They've sold about over £40 million worth of players, which we have just not done. But Leeds were prepared to spend big money on Mooney's and Paxhouse. The 49ers obviously money but holding back. I just disagree. I'll tell you why I disagree with this. I think we've spent that money on other players now. I think that money's gone. I think we've spent. I think if we'd have got Paxao, we wouldn't have signed Okafor, and we might not sign a few others. I think we've spent that money. That's what I think's happened. Or I think if we'd have got Paxao, we'd have sold a few players. Like if we got Paxao, we might have sold Nonto. I'm not saying we wouldn't, but we might have sold Nonto and give us a bit of wiggle room there. I don't like the Muniz bid was ages ago. And the Paxao bid was a while ago now, about a month ago, I think. It's our negotiating team. They are the problem. Just showing some PowerPoint presentation of fans celebrating isn't enough. I think this is an issue, Mark. I agree. I think I've also said this in a video. I think that we haven't. I don't think we Calmawendo was a situation here where we were up against Brentford. We should be better than Brentford, in my opinion. I don't think that's an excuse. I can understand losing to Forest. They're in the Europa League. That they're a really solid Premier League team. I can see why we'd lose players to them. For me, Brentford could easily go down this year. I don't see why Calmawendo would have rather. I know he went to Forest in the end, but there was reports at the time that he'd rather have gone to Brentford. That is a worry to me. That is a real worry. Why are they wanting to go to Brentford over Leeds? Is it because Underwood's doesn't have the contacts in the agency world to get players over the line, to get the big deals in? And is it because our presentation skills of what we're going to offer him at Leeds United isn't good enough? And I think is Farke a big enough pull like Bielsa was, I think, is another thing. Farke wouldn't have said he needs more players if we are broke. Maybe Farke's reputation precedes him. This is an interesting one, actually. This is an interesting one because I agree with you. I actually do agree. I think something has gone wrong. I think something has gone really wrong. I don't think Parag would have said what he said before the Everton game and Daniel Farke would have carried on bashing the drum of 2 new signings if we knew we weren't going to get him because we had no money left. If we knew it was only loans from this point onwards, I don't think they'd have done that. So I actually completely agree with you, is what I'm saying. I completely agree. But I think something's gone wrong. I think something's gone wrong. No, mate, that was Parag. Say it now. He's gone against his word. So do you think we have 50 million then? You might be right, mate. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't think that's the case. Sodic, give me 10 million. I'll kick a ball about, and I'll be absolutely useless. Can't though, can it? Yeah, we'll have you, Paul. An extra body. You can't be worse than nothing, can you? So we'll have you. Think we have a bit of cash, but can't spend it due to non-sales. Who'd take? I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Charlie. But I don't think we've got cash. But I don't think we've got cash. We haven't done proper sales. Half the dross that we have. Do you mean that we can't make sales because the people won't take our players? Because I think they would have done. I think people would be surprised who the people would take. Josh Brownhill wants the move. He's still available on a free agent. Hakim Ziyech is free agent too. They can be signed after the deadline. True. Yeah, that is true. And we went into that market last year, didn't we? Like we did that last year. I've supported Leeds years and seen many times where the club every transfer window would come up short. I disagree. I actually think since the 49ers have come in, this has been the first average window. I think the rest of them have been really good. Summer transfer windows, that is. Christian Eriksen is still also free. Yeah, true. That's another good option. And I think this is something we have to look at. Like if we just get Harry Wilson over the line, and even if we don't get Harry Wilson as well, we're going to have to look into the market, aren't we? For sure, like 100%. David Ornstein's a tweet about Guehi. Not about Leeds though. Hey up. Graham Smythe tweet. Let's have a look. Be honest, Graham, are we skinned? I expect we'll hear from the club. This is what he said about... So this is interesting because we've been obviously talking about PSR. Graham has said... Someone asked Graham today, be honest, Graham, are we skinned? And he said, I expect we'll hear from the club this week on the PSR position and how tight it was. But you can still sell next June, remember. Yeah, this is a point. As I said, I agree. I think we're knackered on PSR. I think what we could have done, though, is we could have sold in June. The problem with doing that is that if you're going to sell in June, you're going to get fees for players that you don't like, because every single club then knows that Leeds United have to sell before June, and therefore knows they can put crap bids in for players, and we have to sell, otherwise we're getting a points deduction. So you Pascal Strauch, who we probably need to sell at that point, who would be a PSR player that we need to sell, you're getting crap fees from. That is the issue with it, and that's what they don't want to do that for. But that is true, you can sell before June. But that could be better, actually, a better outcome, and getting a crap fee for Strauch or crap fee for Nonto, whoever it's going to be. and selling next June than as Leeds going down, of course. So there is that as well. It's because Brentford have been in the Prem longer. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that could be why. That's presumably about why Callum Wendo picked Brentford. Yeah, could be. But I'd hope. Would you not hope though, John, that we can beat Brentford? To be fair, see, I maybe I think differently of Leeds United, but I think Leeds United should be able to beat Brentford in the transfer. Let's have a look. The PSR books only need to be balanced in June. Yeah, sorry, I've already read that. I think we have 60 million, but we can't attract creative players we want. The 49ers will wait till January. Maybe. I personally disagree, but you might be right. Steven says, all in capitals, by the way, which is a new one. We didn't spend in January because we were told to hold our money for this window. WTF. Yes. However, this is now a different transfer. This is now a different PSR year in it, because that year would have ended in July the 1st. And now obviously we're or June the 1st. And now we're in a new one. So yeah, you are right. But this is a different one. So that if you wanted to spend in the last year's books, which was saved in January, you'd have had to spend before the PSR deadline this summer. PSR, we had different offers for players. Sell if it helped PSR. I think we would have had a bit of cash. Not when spend it all on. Yeah, I can't say that word, mate. I don't want to swear on here, but I'll keep reading it. The squad's been full of incomings people without sales. Yeah, I do agree with that last bit, 100%. We haven't. The worst thing about the transfer window is we've not sold properly at all. I honestly think that's one of the worst things we've done. The 49ers have been so good, by the way, at getting good fees for good players, and we've been awful at that. We've been absolutely awful at it. Are we even good enough in the Premier League? I hate to say it as a Leeds fan, but I think it's true. Are we even good enough to stay in the Premier League? I think that's what you mean, Lewis. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think we're going to find out, Spencer, when we watch us. I know that's an obvious statement to say. My feeling is right now, potentially not, but I don't want to be too negative. I'm not convinced by the 49ers. As I said earlier, they have a similar approach in the NFL with buying injury-prone players on the cheap and praying for a result. See, Ask Gemini, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I don't watch NFL. It's not something that I'm interested in. But I think that's an interesting point. I don't know. I know the 49ers have made a really good new stadium, obviously, with the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know much else about them. I do know these are different people running it. I know it sounds stupid, but it's an investment firm based off the 49ers opposed to the 49ers themselves. However, that they've obviously have similar strategies for sure. How much would have Sunderland spent as of today? I think Sunderland spent something like 160 million, but they've also sold 40 million of talent, which we haven't done. So our net spends are not miles off. Would I sell Joel Perreault? Yes. Yes, I would. I just don't think it'd be useful in the Prem. I don't want to keep going over ground. I've mentioned this earlier, but I don't. Yeah, I don't. I would sell Perreault. Yeah, I would. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes. I'll probably stay until 6, and then I'll dip off because I'll have a bit of a rest. I've been doing this about an hour and a half now, so, But thanks for the support, by the way. I've got 65 people watching, 65 likes. If you haven't liked, if you could, that'd be brilliant. And also, I've been trying to close in on 1,000 subscribers. So if you could help that by dropping a subscription, that'd be fantastic. Any updates on players coming in? Let's have a quick look, shall we, Damo? Let's have a quick look. Let's have a look. Graham's basically saying that I asked about Mooney's and where's the money gone from Mooney's and thing, and he says he's going to ask that later after the window shuts, which is fair enough, I think. Stuff will come out in the wash, by the way. I've made a lot of predictions on this show about where we ain't got any money and all that, and we're going to find out if that's true or not. We are going to find out if that's true. I might have been talking nonsense this whole time. You might want to turn off. I don't think either, but it seems that general consensus, nobody watches the NFL except spectators. Yeah, I do agree, Ask Gemini. I do agree with that. I think that's fair. For those who are playing, for those who are putting the 49ers down, need to ask yourselves, do you want the stadium upgrade or not? Our ground is falling apart. Why would you expect players to come? I'm not quite sure what you mean there, mate. I'm not fully sure what you mean. But I know they're going to do good stuff with the stadium, I think. Get rid of Ethan Ampadu. I like Ethan Ampadu. I think that's harsh. Ralph says, "Can we get Ramazani back? Because we're clearly not signing anyone." No, we can. I think we could probably negotiate a fee. We'd have to pay to get him back, but so potentially we could. But no, we ain't got an agreement in there to release him. I think the deal was that we won't let them an option to buy if we can't have a recall. I think that was where the agreement ended up. Why would they upgrade the stadium if we're not even in the Premiership? I know there is a bit of that, isn't there? But I don't think, by the way, the money that's come for the stadium, this was in a report this week, the money that's come from the stadium is going to come from investors from the 49ers. It's also nothing to do with our PSR big sheet. You can improve your stadium and it isn't on PSR. Like, that isn't a PSR thing. It isn't involved in PSR at all, which is why it's so good, because you improve your stadium, you bring in more revenue, and then you can spend more in the market. It's why it's so important that we do it. But it's not to do with PSR at all. Like, it's not. It's just discountable. Like, it's not involved. Can we get Solomon back? Potentially. I think he's off to Palace though, mate. I think he's off to Palace. But yeah, would we upgrade the stadium if not even in the Premiership? I don't know. I think that was the whole plan that we were. Ampadu is one of our best players. All leads that way, says Gavin. He's important. Our record about winning and losing with him in and out of the team is for everyone to see. Yeah. Because if the stadium isn't upgraded, we can't compete. Exactly, this is true. But we can still do, like, we've got investors in. So the 49ers put out a post put out a thing to their investment group asking for money to come in from the 49er partners, which we know there's loads of big names in it. And they basically said that the minimum buy is $250,000 and you can invest in the Leeds United stadium. That's the situation with the stadium. That will not be funded through PSR. It shouldn't affect player sales or buying of players at all. The money's coming from a different place. So yes, what they're doing is good with the stadium, but that doesn't really affect the transfer window. The only thing it does do is, as I said, when the stadium goes up and we've got over 50,000 people in the stadium, and I think we get an extra 10 million, I read, from revenue from the stadium per year, takes our thing from 31 million to about 41 million. We can then spend that 10 million in the transfer window, which is brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic, which is why we should do it. Any more questions, by the way, because I am going to go off at 6 o'clock because I am getting a bit tired now. I've done this I think I've been going an hour and a half, which, say, I've never really streamed before. It's quite a long time. But, I mean, people have watched, so, I mean, thank you for watching, I guess. Let's have a look. Should I start doing more of these live streams, by the way? Is this what people want? Do people want live streams? Maybe I should start doing that every Sunday or something. Should I do that? Will people watch that? I don't know. Or is this more like a deadline day special thing? Can someone give Rafinha a call? If I had his number, mate, I'd definitely do it. Maybe you could DM him on Twitter. DM him on Twitter and see what he says. My feeling is he'd probably say no, but, you know, there we are. Right. Let's see. Before I go, let's have a look and see if we have signed anybody else. Definitely enjoying the stream, Scott. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the show. And yeah, live shows are good, mate. Good, Gavin. Right, I'll consider adding that to my schedule then. I might do one. What do we think? Like every Sunday or something? What do we think? Sunday? Maybe. I do like. By the way, I do really like these streams. Like, I like interacting with the chat and sort of having a sort of back and forth thing. I think that's really good fun. Yes, I prefer live streams. It's a great way to interact with you in a live form. Yeah, I do agree. I generally love, like, the whole point of this is I like talking back and forth between you guys in the chat because I like the different opinions. And it also, when you say a different opinion, it gets me thinking. I think, oh, that's a good point. How can I counteract that? I just enjoy it. I love the interaction. But you're right. Someone said earlier, I've got to find a way to put it on screen. And you're right. I definitely do. I'm a bit new to all this though. So, you know, give me time. Only us could ask for a bang average loan player in Solomon to come back and we are happy. Yeah, potentially, mate. Yeah, really enjoyed this live, mate. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. I appreciate that. I shall do one of these again then. I shall do one of these again, if that's what everyone likes. It's just that obviously we're at a popular time at the moment, naturally, with the transfer deadline day. I think I'm wondering if it would be a popular all time. Definitely a good forum for all Leeds fans to chat. Yeah, I think I like it because I think here I want to sort of like every comment's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like we can, as long as we're not attacking each other, you know, it's all good. Top man, good live, keep it up. Thank you very much, Gabe. Sunday's good, mate. Can we discuss Saturday? The Saturday, so it's still fresh. Potentially, we could do Saturday. I'm at church on Sunday, aren't you? Unfortunately, no, I'm not. Not particularly. I'm not religious, mate. I'm afraid. What happened to 120 million extra shares sold, which was supposed to partly be on transfers? As I said, I don't think it's the money that's the issue, Wilf. I think it's the fact that we're going to get done with a point deduction on PSR. I think that's what it is. Anyway, right. Thanks all for watching as always. As I said, if you've enjoyed it, please drop a like and a subscription. That would be fantastic. But other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later, everybody. Bye for now. Bye for now.